You know, let's just all take a moment to admire how good this series is real quick. I just really want to express this real quick, because Boku no Hero Academia, it is one series I am really glad is getting popular. I really am happy it is, because it's just blown up in popularity in these past couple months, and I'm happy to see that, because this series really does deserve it. It feels very fresh as a shonen, or into Weekly Shonen Jump. It really feels fresh. And I just want to take a few moments to just admire how good this series is, and how it continues to dish out good quality chapters by the week. If I had to be real with you, okay, just straight up real, this series, so far from me reading this series, I don't think there has been any chapter that's been under a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, in my opinion. I don't feel like there has. There hasn't been, so far, out of all these chapters, 35 plus chapters, I don't feel like there has been any chapter that felt like it was a waste, it was boring, or nothing happened. Like, almost every single chapter of this series has some form of character development, characterization, trying to give the spotlight to these other side characters, which I love so freaking much, and just so many other things. Like, this chapter, in general, it makes me happy for this series. Let me explain. This chapter, as always, what Boku no Hero Academia has been doing, is focusing on the side characters. And you don't know how it makes me feel when I'm sitting here reading Boku no Hero Academia week by week, and I am seeing how the mangaka of this series takes the damn time to really flesh out these characters that look so badass. Like, there is so many characters in the series. Usually when it comes to a series, manga, anime, whatever, when you see this many characters, it feels like the cast is bloated. That's usually how it feels. And to see how Boku no Hero Academia continues to impress me, and the manga continues to flesh out these characters and tell us their abilities, their names, what their characteristics are, stuff like that, it just makes me impressed with this series, because none of the characters so far in this series feel useless. Like, you can argue and say one character is more useless over the other, fine. And the only character I could probably say that's useless out of the entire cast is freaking Belly Boy, Belly Laser Boy, or the JoJo pose Belly Laser Boy. I saw that JoJo pose in this chapter, but regardless of that, almost every character has importance. And I love that so much. I can't express how much I love seeing characters, side female characters, side male characters. These characters are badass, like Tokoyami and all that, just getting that development, like Ochako in this. Oh, like, I really like seeing Ochako getting that development at the end of this chapter. It's just a solid chapter, because once again, the manga continues to write quality. And usually when it comes to a manga, you have to focus on the main male character, main female character, to attract the viewers to where they're, or viewers or readers to where they want to continue reading or watching the series. And I like how the manga is actually, at the very early stages of the series, he's already switching perspectives to other characters and giving us a different viewpoint of these other characters, and allowing us to get attached to them at a very early start in the series. And I've grown quite attached to a lot of these characters already, and it's quite unbelievable. Like Bakugo, Ochako, Ida, Tokoyami, Great Boy, I mean Momo. There's just so many great characters in the series, and almost every individual character has their own distinct personality. And almost every single character, I think, that thus far has been introduced has a different personality from everybody else. And I like that too. And the character designs are top notch, especially with the facial structures along with the hairstyles. I love those character designs. So enough about that. This chapter of Boku no Hero Academia. As I pretty much already covered in this first half of the review, it focuses on, once again, side characters. Developing side characters, showing the fights in the tournament, and this right here is what shocked me about this chapter. Usually when it comes to tournament-type arcs, or arcs like this that focus in shonen or any manga I have read or anime I've watched, usually the side character fights get skipped over. Like, usually they're just, they're just skipped over, and then we go on to the main important characters. Like, if this was a generic shonen, I'm just gonna say, if this was just like some generic shonen, most likely it would skip over, you know, the entire fights that was demonstrated in this chapter and go straight to Bakugo versus Ochako. That's usually what some shonen would do, and I'm glad that we got to see all these other characters highlighted. Even Laser Belly Boy doing JoJo poses and shooting lasers out of his fucking gut. He even had his own panels and showing, you know, off his skills of laser beams. So, yeah, it just, that's what this is. And then Hatsumi getting that development too, like, I was shocked to see Hatsumi like that. She is the Batman of Boku no Hero Academia. Like, Izuku at first was the Batman of Boku no Hero Academia, and I guess you can kind of consider him slightly the Batman still, but Hatsumi is like a female Batman, because she uses these gadgets. Like, in this chapter, she uses these gadgets, and she can, you know, get out of the way of Ida, like she was dodging. She was messing around with him for like 10 minutes, and she didn't really try to beat him or fight him. She was just dodging and running around for 10 minutes, and she wasn't really using a quirk. Like, her quirk ability is Zoom, from what we find out in this chapter. The Zoom quirk ability allows her to have, like, good vision. Like, she can zoom in and see people like binoculars. That's kind of how it is, and it's very good. Or Hawkeye vision. That's a good one right there. So, you have to where Hatsumi, she can have this great vision, but she doesn't have anything else when it comes to her quirk abilities. So, all this dodging and athletics and stuff she was using in this chapter and the past chapters was just her and her stamina, her and her body, without using any quirk abilities. And to see that, I'm really happy, because there's characters that really stand out even though they don't have any quirks. And that's also another reason why I like this series, because Hatsumi's holding her own without the usage of quirks. She's just using gadgets and technology. And it just goes to show you probably what might happen in the future with gadgets and technology and stuff like that. Because we had it to where Nomu, you know, the first villains when they were introduced and all that, Nomu, as we found out, was like a genetic soldier or whatever. He was made. He's like a man-made genetic soldier to fight All Might. And we already know that there's technology that can do something like that. And it's like foreshadowing that there will come a time that maybe quirks will versus like scientists or something. Like scientists will try to make robots and shit that can battle quirk users. You know, you get what I'm saying there. So I feel like that right there is kind of foreshadowing maybe a future arc of the series. But we'll have to see when we get down that road in the near future. But the chapter overall, it's very simple at first glance. It's a very simple chapter, but it's really enjoyable seeing so many different characters getting these spotlights and panels, and it makes me happy. You don't need Izuku or All Might on the screen 24/7, or Todoroki or Bakugo to make us all jump for joy and say 10 out of fucking 10 chapter. We can just see these side characters and be satisfied, and that's exactly what it does. So, yeah, tell me your thoughts. How do you feel about Ochiko's character development, giving up the, you know, ability to probably figure out tactics of what she could use against Bakugo? Do you feel like she's going to be able to win against Bakugo in the next chapter? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.